Okay, we're all done with the addition that I did. Added some text. Goes with the unicorns, believe. Now we're going to add on our zippers. You can do one at a time if you want, but I like to just do both of them at one time. So, sorry. First we're going to add our pocket to the back. That way it's out of the way. Okay, so you want to take your fabric for your pocket, and this is where drawing that line from the zipper is going to play in. You want to line what will become the top of your pocket, the bottom of this, with the very bottom zipper line, and tape that down really well. If you're using fabric, you can actually just tape it, use some pins from the front. And you'll see later on when I get to working on the final bag, I will actually use pins. It just becomes easier. The pattern has got enough extra to facilitate using pins from the front. I'll turn this over. Again, make sure you multi-needle people that you have it in the right order and that you're not putting your frame in backwards. I'm going to trim these strings real quick. And you'll see that the tack down stitch is really loose. It's not meant to be functional, as I said before. Okay, zippers. If you're using the lace zippers, they're a little bit less narrow than the regular ones. If you use the regular zippers, you can back them up with like a 1/8 inch decorative ribbon and put those on there to kind of disguise the zipper tape. I want you to make sure you move the hardware out of the way. There's going to be a metal stop here. See that metal stop? You all know zippers. Make sure it is past your placement line. All next lines are going to be inside of this placement line except the D-ring strips. So you can be assured if you keep it away from there, you're going to be having the zipper seated properly. This is the trickiest part, but I want you to feel as you push the zipper in that valley that was created with the vinyl placement. You want to get the zipper nested so that the zipper teeth, if you push them down, they are in that valley. It's a little tricky. Sometimes I've even messed it up myself and had to stop the machine and start it over. Down here, we're going to go ahead and tape the little zipper pole and ball out of the way. And I will lift this up and show it to you in just a moment. Try and put it down there as well as you can. I do usually put another little piece of tape right in the middle. It might get stitched over, but if you're using this kind of tape, it's usually pretty easy to get out. This pink tape is really amazing. It's much tackier than the tape you get from the painter store. I had to get this at the quilt shop. My friend told me about it, and I love it. It's so much better. It's a little more expensive, but sometimes it's worth the aggravation that you save from using the blue stuff. Again, make sure that is out of the way. Feel for it. This is why it's important that you do this on a firm surface, because you do not want to be loosening up your stabilizer. If you loosen the stabilizer in the frame, your registration is going to be off and nothing is going to match. And that is not a good thing. When you're using like a regular zipper and maybe ribbon to cover it, it's a little bit more forgiving if it gets a little wonky. The lace ones kind of show. I did one and I was a little bit too rushed with the placement of it and it got a little wavy. Okay, last one. There's the ball I'm talking about. Take that out of the way. when I do the first placement, you will be able to tell if it's wonky, and it'll actually push the zipper out of the way for you. So I know there's other patterns out there that only have one stitching on the ribbon, but I just felt that wasn't enough for me. You're going to actually use this thing. I'm actually going to go ahead and use a pin like I suggested, because the top of it is coming down and I don't want to worry about it getting folded. So I'm just pinning the top of that zipper pocket material from the front out of the range of the zipper. And again, look underneath and make sure that it did not get out of whack. Okay, and now we're going to run the next stitch. Now, I have white zippers. I ran out of pink zippers, so I'm going to switch to white thread for the white zippers. Everything else I'm going to do pink. This is going to stitch down the first zipper so that I'm going to pull you up over here a minute. Hopefully you can see that. See how close it gets to the zipper. So if it's off a little bit, you don't want to go into your zipper teeth. Push it back. Make sure you're lined up. And I put the reserve stop on my machine just to make sure it doesn't try and go forward as the 6 needle does. I put color stops for every one of these steps for your machine, because you need to stop now and fold down your zipper pocket. See that? Okay, now we're going to fold this down. You don't need to really iron it. I just do a quick little loose finger press and tape it back down. Again, you don't want to be putting too much pressure on this frame because you don't want the stabilizer to come loose. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to put the pin back down here to hold this fabric out of my way. I'm going to put it back underneath here. Now it's going to stitch down the rest of the ribbon and the stabilizing stitch for the pocket. The reason why we're doing this is you want to keep that top part of the fabric out of the path of the zipper. And you'll notice if you've ever gotten a cheap zipper pouch, they don't do a tack down. The fabric ends up pulling up and it gets stuck in the zipper. Take this out and do this. Here we go. Now it's not going to get stuck in the zipper. We're going to fold this up, and this time you want it to go to the top of the bottom zipper line. Try and make sure it's even so you don't have a wonky pocket. I'm going to get some new tape. I do find I usually only get about 2 tackiness attempts out of this pink tape. So then I have to get a new piece. You really want to make sure you have this stuff taped down so that you don't get it stuck underneath there and have to start all over. Don't recall how much this vinyl was. But even if it's $2, I don't want to be throwing $2 in the garbage. Make sure your tape is down well. Flip it over. Remove this tape from the top of the zipper now. We don't need that. line her back up. And you gotta make sure, I don't know if you could tell, it did not click on this side because my stabilizer got in the way. You wanna make sure it clicks on both sides. Okay, again, we're gonna use white. And this time, you can actually run both of the next steps at one time. I did them separate colors, just to make the designing easier. But in fact, you can run it at the same time. Totally did not pay attention, but I indirectly did get my little ribbon lined up well. Let me show you. And just as a tip, this new machine, I can actually pull my frame forward. It's so awesome. The old machine, I couldn't do that. I wanted to show you. I didn't plan this, but the lace ends up lighting up with those eyelashes. It's kind of cute. See? Now your pocket is all done. We don't need to worry about opening the zipper yet. We'll do that in a minute. You need to stitch down the lining. Try and get as much tape as you can out of here. You don't want that to stay in there. Okay, now we have our two pieces for our lining. There's our back. Let's put that back down there. Here's our top. Here's our bottom. So you're going to take your bottom lining and you're going to line that up, can you guess, with the bottom upper zipper. See, we didn't really need this one, but I just drew it in just to make sense. So you can see where all parts of it are. So we're going to line it up with that. And you'll see this is at the point where we might want to just use some pins and pin it from the front. So I'm going to put a little bit of tape. And then I'm going to just pin it from the front. Make sure you have the right side facing out, the wrong side facing out. The right side, or the pretty side as some people call it, should be facing the stabilizer. Because that's going to get folded down on the next step after it's stitched down, and then that'll be what you'll see on the inside. Make sure click, click. Pull this out of the way. My frame back. Make sure your fabric is out of the way. Change to white. Take it out, and I can tell right now I may have bumped my zipper up a little too high because this line should be a little bit closer to the zipper tape. Hopefully that's okay. All right, let's remove the pin. Turn this over. Remove the tape. Oh, my tape fell off on the machine. That's why you don't use it when it starts getting less tacky. fold this down. It's going to cover up your pocket and overlap it. Again, you can do your quick little finger press, but not too much because you do not want to loosen up the stabilizer. How many times did I say that? I'm going to reach over here and put the pin in from the front. At this point, it's just as easy to do that. Grab another one. You can see that the there's a seam allowance down here that you can actually lift that up to get to the underneath. Whatever you do, make sure you get that pin so it's back on this side. You don't want to have that rubbing on the bottom of your machine. Okay, see, nice and neat. Gonna move this one off. Okay, and now we're gonna do the top. This one here. What do you think we're gonna do? We're gonna line that up with the top zipper line, just like that. Get some fresh tape. And the final tack down of the zipper is going to hold this piece of fabric in place, and then we will fold it up just like we folded the other one down, and then we are almost done. Okay. Again, lined up with wrong side facing out with the top of the lines. Make sure it did not move. Run the last zipper line. Oh, I got a step ahead of myself here. Sorry. See, it happens. We didn't run the last stitch. Oops! Y'all should have been paying attention saying, Kimberly, that's wrong. You forgot something. Always keep your seam ripper handy. And I found these combination seam ripper stiletto on some Facebook group. Oh, it's so beautiful. I don't remember how much they were. Not horribly expensive. I think there's 2 different vendors who are selling them. One, the lady's husband makes them. That's whom I bought mine from. And the other one, it's the woman's father makes them. They're just gorgeous. All right, let's move this guy out of the way. We weren't ready for him yet. All right. Bottom zipper tack down, which is going to be the top stitching for our pocket. One thing you want to notice with these lace zippers, they are very delicate. This is my second attempt at this video. It's a nice tack down. The first one I did, I wasn't happy with it. I may not be happy with this one, but it is what it is. See, I said it again. I say a lot. I don't know how these other people, Crafty Gemini and folks like her, do this without constantly saying There we go. Now we're down to that step. Line it back up. But the other bag that I did, it's such a disappointment. It actually is adorable, and I will probably show it anyway when I post this. I was trimming the zipper out, and I somehow got too close to that little lace, and it tore up there. So be very careful with these lace zippers when you're trimming out the zipper stabilizer. And I totally did that on purpose just to keep you paying attention. Not really. All right. There we go. That's all stitched down. The zipper's all done. Now we're going to do the tack down of the top of the zipper. And again, this here is going to get tapped down so that we do not get any folds in our zipper hole. Almost done. Only a few more steps after this. Check it. After this, I will be doing the rest of the steps in pink. And you'll just do whatever matches your vinyl. The reason I suggest that you match your vinyl is sometimes when you turn it, you can see the stitches. And this will be the first time I'm turning this type of vinyl. There you go. Oh, and see, I got it caught in there. That's okay though. I'm not worrying about that because it's going to be out of the, it's going to get caught into the seam allowance when we sit down the rest of it. So I'm not worrying about that. I'm just going to poke it loose. So there's a word of the warning. Use more tape than I did. Oh, I have a little knot there. That's why it won't come out. Do as the instructions say, not as Kimberly is doing in person. And while you're seeing me do this, I am a Kimberly, by the way. It's actually one of my biggest pet peeves is when people call me Kim. I've been Kimberly my entire life. When I was a child, could not get people to call me Kimberly. It was very upsetting to me as a child. So I swore as an adult that nobody would call me Kim. And you ask anybody who works with me and they will tell you, do not call me Kim. See, it's okay that I did that because it's going to get caught in the final seam, so I'm not worried about that. If you were worried about it, if you goofed up like that, you can pick it out and just back up the stitches on your machine and redo it. It's fine. Okay, the front is all done. So now we're going to go ahead and put in our placements for our D-rings. And you could totally skip this step, but the bag is actually large enough that you could make a crossbody strap for it, and that's what I've done with all of mine. And perfect for a quick trip to the zoo or somewhere like that. Or for your daughter, teenager, preteen, granddaughter, niece. I stitched these placement lines so that it will exactly match up if you follow my instructions for 2-inch straps. If you're not comfortable with that close of a placement and you want to make yours a little bit longer, go ahead, just make sure that they evenly extend past this the same. So you see I have it so it's exactly there. So you're going to match up this right there with the top on both sides and tape this down well. Now I said that I pre-taped mine together and that helped. If you do not have yours pre-taped, I seriously recommend that you use 2 pieces of tape here. One at the top and one at the bottom of the D-ring. Because it wants to bump ahead. And I only did 1 layer of the marine vinyl. If you try to do a regular strap that's been folded over in nights, it's so thick. It's really, even on this machine, it's challenging. Okay, can you see this? I hope you can see it. Right there, match it up there. Totally feel free to use FOE, fold over elastic for this step. If you are on a single needle machine that does not have the power of these big machines, that may be a better option for you. I know I have trouble on that little Janoni once I get to 3 layers of vinyl, but it handled the vinyl on my doggy poo bags just fine. Oh, let me point out one more thing to you. Sorry. You want to kind of do a quick look and make sure these look like they're hitting this about at the same length as well, just in case something was off. All right, this is going to be the tack down. All right, I know I teased you earlier and said we were almost done, a few more steps. This time, I'm serious. Let me get rid of all this tape. We have just 2 more steps. And this is just a single tack down for these D-ring connectors. They're going to get held down in place twice more. Okay, there you go. Remove all this extra tape. Don't worry about it if it went through your ribbon there. Just pull it off. This tape actually comes off pretty well. Actually, I have it down here stuck in this ribbon, so the zipper, I'm going to pull it off there now as well. I'm here because we don't need that to be held down anymore. So remove all your extra ribbon. See, I'm not meant to do these videos, you guys. Remove all your extra tape. At this point, you don't need this tape on the sides anymore. Okay, this is really, really important. We're going to add the top vinyl. Remember, I said I was going to use a different color. So this is going to be the back. And we're going to stitch it on here. And then we're going to stitch all the way around it. But what do we have to do first? You're following along with your instructions. Gotta pull out your zipper pulls, because if you don't, then you're not going to be able to open your bag. And I just want to show you something, because just now as I was pulling this tape off, you can see what I'm talking about with these lace ribbons. Look at that, it tore. That's how delicate it is. It just tore like that when I was pulling the ribbon off. I'm sorry, pulling the tape off. So be very careful with these. I have a loose thread in there. I don't know how that happened. And they're not quite as easy to open and close the first times as our traditional zippers are. But they're so cute. I wish they would come out with some that are not the bronzed color. Pull them over to about right here. Do not worry about unstitching underneath there right now. We're going to do that at the end. If you want, on your single needle machines, I would recommend that you tape these down so they don't move while you're stitching it. Now we're going to line up our vinyl and make sure it covers our placement stitch everywhere, because you don't want to have anything extra. What I like to do is kind of fold up. I don't know if I can show this on, get this direction here. I'm going to fold this in half. I like to fold it up and make sure that I have the same amount on either side, on the top and the bottom, for the seam allowance. And then I'll do the same thing on the sides. I'll make sure this is really, I think I cut this a little narrow. This is going to be really tight. Pay attention to your cutting. I apparently did not. This is a little narrow. All right. Let's tape it down. and it wants to come up in the middle because of that hardware in there. So try as hard as you can to smooth it out so that it stays down. At the end of the day, the tape is probably the least expensive of all the materials you're using. So don't be stingy with it. And don't forget, we still have these pins down here. I'm not taking them out yet because I'm going to reuse those when we add the lining for the inside. All right, all taped down. And you see how it's already starting to get a little loose. Can you see that? It's not as tight anymore as it was when I first started. This stabilizer does tend to be a little bit more loose like that than the 806, but the trade-off is it's soft. So your bag doesn't have that stiff feeling under it. All right, go to pink. Okay, this is going to stitch a double row all the way around. I chose that instead of a bean stitch because I do a bean stitch at the end, and I just think that depending on what vinyl you're using, the repetitive cutting of the needle could cut it. So if we do a double run, the needle's going to be offset a little bit each time. Oh, my seam allowance is going to be tight. Okay, you can see over here, I got very, very close right there. I have more room here, so do a better job than me there. It's going to come in a tiny little bit more, and we're going to trim it down to about 1/8 anyway, but do a little bit better job than I did. Now, our last step, almost the last step, is we still have to trim it, cut it, open up the zippers, and that's the fun part. Alright. Pull all this tape off. You can actually wait and do this at the end if you want, because we're done on this side. Okay. Gonna flip it over. Take your lining inside, right side facing. And again, line it up and make sure you're overlapping all the seam allowances. Okay, put a few pieces of tape, and this is where I actually pin it from the front. So I'm just going to put a piece on either side. And then I'm going to pin it from the front. You can lift up your vinyl a little bit to get underneath there. Don't think I can show you that. Let me see if I can. Okay, so if you lift up your vinyl, you see that? You can reach the fabric underneath. We already have this one down here, these pins, so I'm going to redo those. And if you don't want to do the pins and you're not comfortable doing that, then just use more tape. There you go. We're all set. Remember, put it back on your frame the right direction. You don't want to go this far and then have it mess up. Okay, check underneath, make sure nothing came loose. And I can see down there, it's a little loose over there. Last step is going to be a bean stitch that goes almost all the way around. It's going to leave an opening at the bottom to turn it. And if you want to know the truth of the matter, I am on the cheap side. Nobody's going to turn this bag on inside out. I use a permanent tape to adhere my opening closed at the end of it. So you see it's all stitched together. Let's remove all of our pins. And now's the time to check it. If you don't like how it zipped out or stitched out, you can go ahead and rip this out and redo it if you have to. Okay, I'm going to try and show you how to trim it, but it's going to be a little hard. Oh, and see, my tape did fall off inside the machine. I heard that weird noise. So sometimes you just have to be careful. The tape does get stuck underneath there, and it can mess you up. In this case, we're okay. It didn't mess us up. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly tear away all this, because I just want to show you one thing on the notching. So I'm going to show you on how to do that, and then I'm going to show you how to open one of the zippers, and then you can do the rest on your own. But I have watched a lot of YouTube videos of proper bag making instead of in the hoop embroidery, and I noticed that they do this notching on the curves, and it's like, wow, that's amazing. It's so much better than leaving it straight. So I'm going to cut about 1/8 the way from the seam, this outer seam. So we'll end up having about a 1/4 inch altogether. Cut all the way around. I mean, you don't need to see me doing this. This is just basic. These scissors are okay for this purpose, but not great. I just don't want to use my fingers through the zipper. My better scissors are downstairs. The Kais, I love the Kais. I need to just start working for them. I love their scissors. It's not shocking because they make the shoe knives, and I'm a shoe knife person. I love my shoe knives. Oh, and I just messed up. Oops. Okay. I can catch myself. When you get over here, see how the seam ends here? Go do a notch in here and make it easier for you. I really messed that up, but it's okay. Trust me, it makes it easier when you go to fold that in. You want to leave, I'm going to show you, even though I messed it up. You're going to leave a notch like this. Like that. Here's where it ends. Here's the ends, and you want to do a notch there. You can cut the vinyl to the normal seam allowance, but not the fabric. So I goofed up. That's going to make it a little bit easier harder when I close it. That's okay. All right, finish seaming. So, lesson learned: don't cut it from the vinyl side. Cut it from the cloth side so that you remember to leave that little notch. All right, now the notching that I wanted to show you. You see these little curves right here? I hope you can see this. You're going to go in here like this. almost to the seam allowance, but not quite all the way through. And around all 4 corners, you're going to do these little triangles and notch them out. And I'm telling you, your seams will look so much better on the other side. You can try and get some more of that vinyl out of the center if you want, but I try not to get too far into there because you need something to hold on to the seam. You don't want to tear the vinyl coming apart. Alright, so can you see that? See if it'll focus a little bit. I hope you're seeing that. I need to get a better setup for doing these videos. I'm researching, figuring out, do I do a camcorder? Do I keep using the iPhone? My big camera has a limit and it shuts off after 10 minutes. And that's no fun. My first attempt at this video took 4 shootings. Okay. 1 more, 2 more. And you see here I trimmed it a little too close. So be careful with the notching here because I trimmed it so close. Again, trim it from your fabric side so that you know. Alternatively, if you have pinking shears that are strong enough to go through vinyl, you could use those, but I don't think my pinking shears would get through these 2 layers of vinyl. Alright, there we go. It's all done. Here's the fun part. It's not easy. Bear with me. I'm going to try and do this. You're not really going to be able to see it off camera. This is a little too much vinyl here. But you just got to work with it. I know Amy says that if you use a blow dryer, it helps a lot. I don't have a blow dryer handy. I tried it once and it didn't work for me at all. What I find is best is just to get your hand in here and start with 1 corner and just start trying to get 1 corner down into there, into the opening. And if you can get that 1 corner through, after that, see, just keep working with it slowly. And don't manhandle it, but at the same time, you know, you can always stitch it if it comes undone. So once you get that 1 corner in there, like that, it helps you to get the rest of it in. Then I go down to the bottom corner and I flip this out. See that? And then I have 1 top corner and 1 bottom corner out. And then just keep working it. And it'll come. It'll come. I will tell you, the flower vinyl, the first attempt of this video I did, it turned so beautifully. It was like fabric. This one's not too bad. The luster was still in my heart with my luster. It was very hard to turn. It took me, I think, 20 minutes to turn that luster. All right, see, now we've got all this part. Now we can get to this corner. It's ready. It's telling you it's ready. Just fold it down and flip it over. And you're almost there. So you just go slowly and methodically, 1 corner at a time, and it'll come through. And this is fun because this is only the first time you have to turn it. You gotta turn it again. This is just to get it inside out. We still have to turn it right side out. Okay, take the time now to push out your corner. Say I got my finger in there. If you have one of those cute little thingamajiggers to help with your corners, use one of those. I usually have a knitting needle up here, and I use the knitting needle. I don't know where that's at, but I designed this with a little bit more of a curved corners on purpose because I don't want those ugly points that you get when it's a straight corner. I'd rather have a gentle curve than ugly points. Alright, there we go. Mind all this mess. You could go ahead and press it if you wanted to. I don't at this point. Sometimes I will at the end use a pressing cloth over the vinyl. And see, this is where I messed up and I cut this. So it's going to be hard when I go to seal this closed. Normally what you would do, since you have that little flap, is you can fold this in. Find that seam there. fold that end and put some fusible, permanent fusible tape in there, or hand stitch it. And in fact, I'm probably going to have to hand stitch this one now since I tore it, because I'm going to have to kind of, I messed up that flange there. I'm going to hand stitch that one closed when I'm ready. Okay, so now you see we have all of our corners out for the lining, and now we have this stabilizer. Get your seam ripper. Be very careful if you're using a lace zipper. Like I said, I messed up and somehow tore that lace zipper, and I was so mad. So once you get the beginning of this, you can get, it's pretty easy to get the rest. You see that I got the little beginning, and then it'll come out. And you see there's actually those threads, the placement threads will actually cut right through there for you. And if you need to get your tweezers out, go ahead, get the tweezers out. I know people have asked me if there's a raw edge on this. The nature of the vinyl, it is a raw edge, but it's a finished edge, because if we made this so that we turned the vinyl so it had a traditional edge like the fabric does, it would be very hard to stitch through on most machines. So I did not do that with this pattern. I go ahead and keep your scissors, and see, here's that pink line I told you about, the one I stitched out in red, pink. It makes it easy to actually get that out. It pulls it. And just pull that over to the other side and cut it. I'm not going to clean this up right now because I want you to see the rest of it. So go ahead and open the rest of the zipper, and now we get to turn it again. Okay, so you can just turn the top if you want. And then same thing as before, just start working it from the corners. Get that one corner at the bottom all the way through. And this is actually turning pretty easily, which is good since I'm going to have to do it again to clean it up. It's not bad at all. This is Amy's, My Punk Embroidery's marine vinyl in magenta. I don't know if she still has it. I sadly have been buying for so long that I have a little bit of an addiction. Alright, we're almost there. Again, get in there with whatever you need to get that corner out. It's pretty okay right now. Sorry, I think I'm going off the camera there for you. Okay, there you go. That corner still needs it, but I'm not going to do that right now because I just want to show you. All done. Oops, I thought I pushed that corner out. Right? The top corners usually come out really easily with just your fingers. There we go. Close your zipper. And this is where you would maybe give it a little seam press. I'm going to open up this zipper the same way we did the other. Now in this case, we're the opposite direction, so you don't need to worry about tearing the lace as much. You can get in there and just get started on that stabilizer. Pull it out. Pull that string if you can. Makes it even easier. And it rips right through the stabilizer for you. And I'm not going to clean this up right now. I just want to show you the pocket. So you have a totally separate pocket that's not part of this, and this is totally lined. So this is a generous size for the iPhones. You can put your change, your ID here, whatever you have. And I'll clean this up, take a picture of it later. But it's not hard to clean up at all. With those placement lines, they actually help you. And there you go. So let's close this up. Finish your, see what I mean? These zippers are not as nicely zipping as the regular traditional zippers, but they're so cute. And there you go. Voila. Hope you like it. Thanks, everyone.